Yo, what's up, everyone? Welcome to Temtem Up podcast, where we give you all the information about competitive Temtem and what to look forward to for the upcoming week. Brought to you by Servo and Adikar. And yeah, it's a pretty sick week. We did take a week off last week. There was literally just no tournaments, no competitive play, no patches, literally nothing. The only thing that we could have really went over was that nothing was changed, and that um, yeah, pretty much talk about Park on how the Luma week was, and maybe even us thinking, hey, maybe the patch comes out next week. But yeah, we're back now. A lot of competitive stuff to talk about, and two tournaments to go over from the patch prior to what happened. So I hope everybody's having a good week. How have you been, Sarah?
Yeah, I'm just here in my house. Just bought this new blue sofa. It's nice to sit up here in the toll roll.
Yeah.
But you know what I like more than materialistic things?
What's up?
Knowledge.
No.
That's why I also bought these bookshelves.
Oh my
Because
god.
the more you learn, the more you earn.
Yeah, the housing did come in, and it's pretty exciting to know like what to look forward to. Obviously, this isn't like the final project of housing. This is just like, hey, this is what it's gonna be, and then we're gonna be adding a ton of stuff when the game actually releases, which I think is really cool. They've even there's an interactive tab which I'm super interested in, which means there could be like little mini games like the pool table, for instance. Maybe you could actually like play pool with other people. There's also like a dart board. You might be able to play darts with other people later on when the interactive stuff actually comes into play. So I'm pretty excited for that when it comes to the whole like PvE aspect. There's not very much going for PvE, so just seeing like that could be a thing is really nice. What about what are you excited for when it comes to housing?
In terms of housing, just the things people can do. I know if you caught Carth's stream earlier, we were messing around and we are doing the wave in his house.
Yeah, nice. Yeah. I don't have anything in my house, at least not currently. I haven't really done anything for it. Not even the table that you start with. I just kind of got the house next to Servo. We just happened to get a house next to each other, and then I think later on when I have like more money to spare, I'll probably do that. But right now I'm just saving up to make sure I have the Momo and the Yowlar that just released. So that is uh that is priority at the moment. So, what traits do you like the most out of? Actually, let's just talk about Yowler and Momo for a second. What are your opinions on both of those Tems, and how do you think they're going to change the competitive scene?
And say, are you running double mentals? No? Well, you're going to. You're going to find out right away that Momo is a devastator and special attacks. One shots a two vine, basically one shots a Guy Alice with the new trait Stab Master, which is basically, if you know what a Toxic Affinity Orphill is, imagine this, but it's actually grown up. And especially just with the new move Undermine, 145 base power and minus special attack. The first time we've ever seen this.
Yeah. There's been nothing for what special defense and special attack. So having not called Roar. What is it called?
Arc.
Bark, yeah. So with Bark allowing for minus defense and special defense, that's a pretty cool new aspect in the game. We haven't seen it yet for special defense. And for the same thing, we have special attack, right? It has an insane damage for neutral. It hits extremely hard for special attack, especially with the new trait that we've seen with what is it called again?
Stab Master.
Yeah, Stab Master. Pretty much allowing 50% plus 50%. So it's allowing for extra damage, and with its already base special attack, it's looking pretty nice. And it gives minus special attack. So it's like all in one of just like ton of damage, relatively like I'd say decent on stamina. It doesn't cost that much stamina, and at the same time, it's like you're bringing down the special attack, and there's a lot of special attack Tems that are kind of like taking over the game, so like it's pretty nuts in my opinion.
And say always having higher special defense than defense, I think, is always better. Especially since there's a lot of like lower defensing moves. Where in this case, especially with Momo, there it has a really good move set. It's turn one. It's turn one opening. I should be precise. It has a turn one. Its turn one opening is where it suffers at because you're not double edging turn one.
Yeah.
But if you need to clean up a kill, double edge works just fine.
Yeah. Double edge. It's like people think of it as not having a turn one move, but I think it's okay. Obviously it's not optimal or anything. Hopefully there is a turn one move that could make it even stronger. But if it is switched in and it gains all the hold moves, it's looking pretty strong. Which I think a lot of people are going to be doing anyways. So yeah, I think it's definitely strong and has a lot of potential. A lot of potential.
It also has its own stamina mechanic, having a willpower drain.
Yeah, willpower drain. Yeah, its moveset is definitely strong. The only thing that's slightly lacking a teeny bit, like you said, is the turn one move or the zero hold move.
Well, the
There's
opening, yeah.
yeah. So yeah, so let's go over some of the bugs that happened. Every single time there's a new patch, there's always a ton of bugs that are gonna happen. There's nothing you can do about it. They bring the patch out, a bunch of bugs happen. We find them, they see them, they fix it. Typically within 24 hours, like the next day, which is exactly what they did this time. And when it comes to the competitive scene, there were a few of them that were kind of like making ranked a little bit unplayable. Like it wasn't completely unplayable, but you couldn't use specific tems if you want to talk about that. Yeah, that'd be cool.
Yes. So whoever used Deceit or Naga, this includes myself, the first day, were assholes.
Yeah,
Each turn Deceit Aura activated, you crash the game.
yeah,
But
that
what's
was
funny is that there's two Nagas on the field, it didn't crash the game. So I don't know what caused that, but that is fixed. Run Naga as much as you like. I mean, it's on ladder, so it's not as good, but it's still a good tem to run around with, especially with the recent buffs and nerfs.
yeah. I saw one of the games that you were playing, and both players had to see Dara. It was like the first game you played since the patch, and every single turn when Decidara was there, he like knew it was gonna happen. He'd close the client, bring it back up, just so that he wouldn't miss a turn. That's kind of annoying, honestly. That's pretty rough. But yeah, it is fixed now, which is really nice. I don't think there's too many other bugs that at least that we know of. It's only been, a day since the patch, so the only one that is very big right now because of neutrals being like coming into play is the move flank bug. We have a lot more information on it. We actually know how it doesn't work, or we know how it's manipulated now. So if anybody doesn't know, the move flank bug was anytime, like, let's say it didn't get hit on a turn and all of a sudden it doesn't proc unnoticed, right? Like, if it doesn't get hit, it's not focused, nothing, right? It should proc unnoticed, it should gain +1 speed. Well, we figured out that whenever somebody uses, like, when you're picking your moves, um, if a tem chooses to attack your slot where move flank is, and then it dies before it is able to attack that slot, because that tem technically targeted that slot, you don't gain the unnoticed proc. So that's how people are making this bug happen. It's let's say there's a guy Alice, right, and it tries to crystal bite move flank. Well, if it dies to your other slot, let's say you have a Volar in it, hyperkinetics, and kills Guy Alice before Guy Alice can actually hit your move flank, because it targeted with Sharp Stab or Crystal Bite, whatever, it's going to not let unnoticed proc because it was targeting that square even though it didn't attack. So that is the problem with move flank right now. So there are ways to manipulate not letting him have unnoticed. If you know a tem is gonna die, you can kind of just target the slot, and when it dies, it still doesn't gain unnoticed, which is pretty huge because the whole point of running move flank, in order for it to snowball, it needs that +1 speed. It needs to be able to outspeed everybody with base jump or goring. So, kind of annoying. At least we know how the bug works now. Before, it would be like, wait, why didn't it proc? Like, we didn't know why it wouldn't proc. But now that we know why it doesn't proc, one, it makes it to where we now all like everybody kind of knows how to manipulate it now to where they take advantage of the bug, which sucks. And then two, it makes it to where now we know that it is kind of I wouldn't say like unplayable, but it makes it to where if you're playing the game and you don't get the unnoticed proc, it can literally throw the game because it's the whole premise of running the move flank is for it to not get focused, gain the +1, and snowball the game. So kind of annoying, but at least we know the premise of it. Hopefully, Karma can get it fixed soon. And yeah, I think Move Link is really, really strong this patch if Unnotice works correctly. I prefer it over Scunch, personally. But yeah, I think I really hope it gets fixed soon.
I think really what this is probably an oversight on trying to fix the bug originally. How originally, if even if it did get attacked and you killed that Tem, no notice would still proc. I think this is just like an overtune, trying to make sure it doesn't happen again.
Yeah, and personally, I think yeah, because before there was two things that would happen. If it came in last on Death Switch in, it would proc, and if you killed the Tem that attacked you, it procced. It still procced. And then when they tried to fix both of them, yeah, like you're saying, it probably just messed up a little bit in the coding. Hopefully, since we know the way it works, hopefully they can fix it up now. But yeah, other than that, I don't really know any bugs that are happening currently. The Kinu and Raze are fixed, so that's cool.
Yeah, I know Krama's been pretty much on top of it, especially pushing out another patch just to fix bugs. A lot of it going behind like decoration stuff, typos, player collisions like you ran into in the airship.
Oh yeah, there's just like this random nothingness that was there. It was kind of funny. I saw that.
Not to mention all the soft locks happening before the first day.
Yeah, now that we know that, it's pretty nice. I really want to run Mooflank, so I'm just really crossing my fingers on them being able to fix that soon. Alright, so we have two tournaments that happened. We had the PlusOP weekly and the monthly that happened. So we're going to go into those finals team reviews, and then we're going to get into the really interesting stuff that everybody wants to know. They obviously they want to know about, you know, the new move, Quetzal, and yeah. So we're going to be checking out that, talking about tier list of what we, not only us, what we believe is the strongest Tems to look out for, but also Carthh kind of has his tier list that he created that what he thinks might be really strong in the current patch. So we're gonna kind of look at over his and also talk about what we believe as well, because whenever there's new Tems and new buffs, new moves, everything, everybody kind of has their own way of what they think is strong until it's actually used. So we're gonna kind of go over both minds on that. So yeah, let's get into PlusOP Weekly, 26, the final team review, like we always do. Yeah, let's check it out.
Say all I'm saying is this before or after the patch. I see a cat buyer and a golder.
Oh, I know, right? That's actually insane. So one of the things that happened in the last patch, or this last patch, is Golder got a buff to HP and defense and special defense. And it was pretty significant in my opinion. Gaining 55 to 62 is a pretty good buff. And not only that, but it also gained HP. So pretty sick, and then also Quetzal and Catfire. So let's go over Beast Wars comp here for the finals, and yeah, let's go over his comp really quick.
I'm assuming at this point you all know what Tuvine, Grumper, a Gaialis, a Size Munch, you know what, and Kinu, what those 5 Tems can do. It's mostly between the Scunch, Catfire, and especially the Psypat being probably the big one. The flavor picks. Catfire is a little bit more different, especially now being able to be kind of a fast sweeper. With Fire Tems, they kind of had to rev up before. With Mastio, and it went Embers, Swarm, and then you'd hit the Meteorite. Now, with Catfire, you can kind of heat up and then Embers. You can obviously use the new move. However, this was obviously before that.
Yeah, this is
Scunch, you didn't have the Oshidashi. Actually, no, you didn't have Oshidashi yet. Because the side park didn't release yet. But even still now, Hydo is still probably the better move, just because it doesn't make your movesets kind of redundant in a way. But at the same time, like I said, if you're Hydoing something for super effective damage, it's gonna die. Like, you don't need the extra damage. And if it doesn't die, it's probably going to sleep. With Psypat, it's interesting to see Psypat come back, especially when it comes back to, I don't know, 4 Toxics and 1 Mental. Kind of a rough roster for Psypat. But seeing it come back and be able to do toxic damage to the Nagas, not being able to expect that because we haven't fought the Psypat in a while, as well as give that melee synergy for Size Munch.
Yeah, I think like one of the things is, okay, so I'm pretty sure not only you, but I've definitely thought about this. Um, you need something that is water but also super effective to Naga. And we obviously thought about Nesla, but then before it was like, well, no, like we're not getting Nesla. First, we're not gonna spend a ton of money for a Tem that's just like horribly statted and doesn't show like that good of stats. So like Beast Wars having Psypat for this instance, it's water, it's gonna be able to tank that and be able to run Toxic Ink against the Naga, which helps a lot as well. Having the fight melee synergy helps because that's I mean normally when you run a Size Munch, you want at least two other Tems, right? That are melee in order to have the synergy. In this case, he has Giles and Scunch and Psypat, which helps that. So this is a pre-patch Capire, which means it only has Embers and Heat Up and Meteorite. So he's using the pre-patch Capire. I'm pretty sure he's happy about the new patch coming up with this team. Grumper is doing Grumper things, and yeah, Kinu's doing Kinu things. Yeah, let's talk about Plat team.
Plat's team is the same as before. However, he did change 4 Up. Actually, it's 3. I think he had the guys before. But yeah, sadly, the Roller bit the bullet. It's gone, at least for now. And taking its place, we see Golder, Ukama, and Tuvine. Tuvine replacing the Vlash, I think mostly because it's just better crystal damage up front, especially the hit Kinu's a bit harder. Not to mention the wind synergy kind of helps with extra damage from Platimus, even though it's not necessary with Tsunami. It does help. Not to mention it gives you more wind resistance if you do end up fighting that, especially with a toxic heavy team. And Golder has been rotating a lot into the meta just because it's been fitting well against salad comps, and it's just very strong. Just toxic ink one lane constantly.
Yeah, Golder's looking extremely strong. Um, what's kind of cool is Krema is looking into the competitive scene a little bit more, especially seeing how like committed all the competitive players are to it. Um, like they've been showcasing themselves into the tournaments and kind of like talking to people every now and then as well, not only with Temporium, but also with Plus that I saw. Um, yeah, I don't. But the thing is, I don't know if they saw the last week and a half of Golder before the patch came out because Golder was being seen in like every team. Golder was kind of taking the place of who is it? Oh,
Nox.
not only Nox. So Nox was switched in. People were trying to figure out like who was gonna switch in with Nox. I'm forgetting what Plat switched for Nox was. It wasn't Calibus, but
It
it
was
was some
probably
sort.
Mashuk.
Oh yeah, Mashuk. So
Originally it was Nox that went to Mashuk and then it became Golder.
yeah, and
I think it's
then
mostly because everyone, this is from a long time ago, a magical time where everybody ran Pig.
yeah,
It's kind of just their damage soaker. That's kind of what Golder's operating as. It kind of does the same thing, as well as with the new Tem being added. Can't wait to see how that's gonna be.
yeah. So Golder is pretty sick though, especially with all of the nature teams that were running around. It's probably not as strong as it was before this last patch that came out, but definitely a little bit ago it was just so strong. Now with like all the new moves and new stat changes and how strong like fire Tems are at the moment, I don't think Golder's as insane. So the buff kind of is probably gonna keep it in its same place maybe. It probably wind isn't really in most comps right now besides like Voloran. Tuvine seeing less play as well, so it's
I even
making.
want to say Barnchi is more popular in Valorant right now.
Oh yeah. I'm actually choosing Barnchi over Volar, but yeah, I think Plat's team is pretty strong here. I mean, he always plays his toxic comps. He always switches it up. Like with the Roller, he switched out for Tuvine for the wind tank, and then the Yukama. Um, he's been kind of switching around the flex picks of Yukama and Gaialis. It's been like quite a few times actually. He tried Grumper. He's tried so much for the other flex picks, Roller, Grumper, a bunch of stuff. So yeah, he's always kind of messing around with a couple flex picks for that. And in this finals, Beast Wars took it. He beat Plat. I don't remember if it was 2-0 or 2-1, but I do remember that he did beat him. I only remember the last match, like the last few turns. So like I think the size munch. I don't know. I just feel like size munch is like super strong, and now with the new patch, I think it's gonna be just as strong, if not stronger. So yeah, Platimus is still doing really, really, really well. I think it's something that is gonna be strong with the upcoming patch as well. Yeah, I really like both teams. Beast Wars happened to take it though, and yeah, I mean, if you look at the teams, it seems like me personally, I would think maybe Plat's team would win, but yeah, that was not the case.
I feel like you really have to ride out. I'm assuming Scunch put in a lot of work because I'm
Yeah, I was
expecting
thinking
Two
so
Vine to
too.
be purple banned.
Yeah, Two Vines banned, and then probably Naga banned, and then kind of goes into trying to make Scunch have viability of just dishing out tons of damage with Suplex and Ninja. I mean, yeah, that's kind of looking like how it is. Yeah. Now we have the PlusOP monthly 6 finals. Every single month, there's 4 tournaments for PlusOP weekly. The top 4 players in each of those tournaments go into the PlusOP monthly, and then top 16 players fight. And here we have Marn Farmer versus Dojo Lance. I personally do not know who Dojo Lance is. I haven't seen him in the competitive scene. Maybe it's an alt. I'm not too sure. But yeah, Marn Farmer coming in. Marn Farmer's always been doing extremely well. So coming in with Gaialis, Tuvine. Um, sorry. Go ahead with Marn Farmer's team.
I believe his team is actually the same like it always ran it. I actually ran into this team earlier today, and his pig lived on 1 health, so he won. But besides that, this team is just I think it's just a lot of just strong Tems. Like obviously, this is actually kind of you can think of this like the old team, like the old like Fantastic Four, just thrown with the extra Tems in there, just really good in the meta.
Yeah. He's been really liking Mashuk with the size munch for the switch in instead of scunch. I can understand that because having 4 times actually kind of rough. Having 4 times effectiveness makes it to where even Kinu becomes a huge threat. At least if you're running Mashuk and the Kinu's against you, you have your Rushiel and you can at least tank a couple hits of Beta Burst before you actually die. So I think Mashuk is the melee time, right? And also it's toxic, so it helps with the Valoran. And yeah, it kind of barriers the Cernif too. If you proc one tenderness and Cernif's just not going to be able to do much. So I was running Mashuk for a little bit. I think it's very strong. Okay, maybe not very strong. I think it's strong. I definitely think it's average though. And then yeah, I mean, Tuvine making sure it has double crystal for the Toxic Plume synergy for minus attack. Typical Kinu moves, Naga being Naga. And yeah, Naga Pig was very popularized in the last couple weeks. Naga with Pig and Naga with Golder. So definitely no doubt there with that team. Yeah, and check out Lance's team here as well.
So Lance's team is interesting. It's kind of got this toxic. Right away, you think of it like toxic. You see Valoran, Nox, Salato, and uh, Nidrasil. I can't think of the name for a second. You think originally it's a toxic team, but then you also see Saku, Whiplump, and Ukama. It's like, okay, what is this? So this is a toxic team, but with turbo choreography coming from Grandpa and Kinu and Noxalato, it's actually a freeze team as well.
Yeah, it's looking pretty strong. Yeah, talk about some of the synergies within the team as well. I'm gonna pick up the patch notes really quick. I forgot to bring that up.
So pretty much with the synergies, a lot of turbo choreography revolved around this team. I wouldn't be surprised if Naga was the first thing banned always from Dojo Lance. Having a lot of turbo from Grandpa, Ukama, Kinu, and Noxalato. Not to mention, if you ever played the patch when we just like I guess it was Hypno Meta back then, uh, Grandpa Whiplump is a very powerful combo. It's a little bit tamer now that we actually have electric moves from Grumper and Nesla now, which I even thought about running back then, but obviously it was kind of a meme. But having all these options and then having Toxic Tem to bust through those cores and walls that aren't Valoran. Valoran's kind of a rough one against this team. so that could also be what was banned. And having the toxic Tems to kind of help clean up the Naga, that might actually be better because I feel like Valoran does kind of rip through this team. Obviously, Saku can help tank and soak some of that damage. However, if it gets too pressured by toxics, like you can obviously bring Urushiel from the Valoran and Noxious Bomb. You could obviously try to dish out damage from Windburst. However, that will also weaken you in the end, and I think that's a bit rougher on your end than it is from Martin's Farmer, even if it just is a Mushuk. Especially if you're fighting multiple wins, you're not going to be using those toxics for long. They're meant to just do that early damage and break certain Tems that if those backlines can break through the rest, that's kind of what they're there for.
Yeah, absolutely. Um, Also, Asaku is getting a lot of attention in the final stages of the week as well. I think Golder and Saku, I think that's also, yeah, I think Golder and Saku we're seeing just a ton of play. Um, a lot of people stopped playing Saku. A lot of people weren't really playing Golder at all, and yeah, it's a pretty good team. I like the whole like win concept, and I think it goes well with the current state of the game of what's being ran right now. With
Triple
triple
fire.
fire, yeah. There's a lot of stuff. It's not like full nature where people are trying to go with triple nature with uh toxic as well in order to deal with the fire Tems. So yeah,
I
with
say
the
the only
comment,
person I'm seeing running triple fire right now on ladder was Higuri, but
yeah.
he's still beating me even when I have Zazer.
Yeah, those I believe Marn Farmer won 2-0. It was pretty good games. I think Marn Farmer's team during that patch was just really strong. It wasn't really running any of the stall gimmicks that a lot of people were running. It was just kind of like, okay, well, Cernif counteracts all the natures. Okay, let's put Mashuk in. Sorry, did I say Cernif?
Not that I recall.
My bad. So Mashuk counteracts all the nature like comps, stall comps and stuff. So I'm just gonna put Mashuk in, and then the only thing that Mashuk doesn't do too well against is Saku, but you can always click that ban button, and then yeah. So Mashuk does well against natures. Same with Volarin. Inu does pretty well against it too. So he has a lot of things that deals with the meta back in a week ago. So. Alright, so we are going to go over the patch notes of the housing patch of 6.9 Kappa. And then yeah, we're
Nice.
going to we're gonna look at that really quick. We're gonna just do a quick skim over everything and yeah. So we're gonna start from we're not gonna go over the improvements and stuff. We're just gonna go straight to the balance patches, more competitive stuff. We're not gonna talk too much about anything else because it is Temtem Up, and we focus on competitive play here. So, Teifu getting a base special attack increased from 85 to 91. Teifu doesn't really have any good special attack moves at the moment, but I think they're kind of trying to set up Teifu in some way, just like they did with Noxiatl. With kind of like waiting for something to come in, right? Giving it high special attack, and then all of a sudden, and like when Chapaku comes out, new moves come out, and then it actually gets a good special attack, and it allows for it to, actually do something. Right now, it just kind of doesn't. So, at least with special attack. So Catfire gets Quetzalina technique move. So does Riken. This move is actually insane.
Quetzalenial.
Quetzalenial.
Yes.
Okay. This move is actually insane. It's everybody's been waiting. Hey, we need a fire attack move. We actually thought that in Kiswa we were going to get fire two vine, right? But we didn't. We were hoping for like a fire plume Gatling that did like 100+ damage, and it never it never came out. So when Kiswa came out, we were still kind of sad about fire moves. Besides the flaming meteorite, we saw flaming meteorite, but we wanted something that was just like kind of like a crystal spike or a noxious bomb or feather gatling, like something that does 100+ base and just like is zero hold. And this is exactly what it is. Its stamina cost is 27, and it hits for 110, and with synergy it turns into a 3 prio with an added little bit bonus to more damage. The synergy is with a neutral tem with all of the good neutral Tems that are out right now. Yowlar just came out. I think Mooflank is very strong. I think Skunch is kind of up there as well, except with a lot of people running mentals, it makes it kind of rough because it typically gets almost one shot, if not one shot, by all mentals. Um, and Momo that just came out as well. So Quetzal is really looking strong right now. Riken and Capire gets it. Now you kind of get to choose between Capire and Riken. Riken is more of a defensive Tem, a defensive supportish kind of Tem. If you want to use this on Riken, in my personal opinion, you want to use it as like a setup for prideful stacks. You want to use your. It's kind of like back in the day in Tukma meta when everybody was using Valash as like their you 4 versus 5 against their team, and then Valash is just on the backside, and then everybody's weakened to like 40% HP, and then all of a sudden Riken comes in and just like Quetzes everything, gets a prideful stack, kills everything, and just sweeps the game. I think Riken should be played like that. I don't think it's if you want to start it off with Kinu, that's great. Give it some added bonuses to be able to just kill everything at the end of the game. But with Capire is kind of the opposite of that. Capire is the setup carry where you get a heat up off. You don't have to run full attack on it either. It doesn't have to be HP attack because it gets heat up. You run heat up with attack, and you already have very high natural base speed, so you don't have to put too much speed investment either, especially with the 3 prio move. And then you just, after a heat up, you just start using Quetzal every attack, and then if you need that little extra bonus in attack, you use Meteor Swarm, or Meteorite, sorry. So, kind of two differences. Capire kind of has the finisher as well because it has Last Rush. So if it is the last time alive, then you still can use it to sweep at the end of the game. But yeah, I think Quetzal is a very crazy strong fire move, and I think fires are seeing a lot of play right now, just testing it out. And I'm loving Capire over Riken personally. But yeah, I think both are very strong. Osukai, base attack increase by 2, special defense and speed increase as well by 10 each. I think Osukai, I mean, I don't think Osukai is very strong right now, just mainly because you have Size Munch, honestly. If there was no Size Munch...
Pretty much what this is saying is go to the Water Shrine to level up.
Yeah. I still think Size Munch is better. If you want a budget-friendly Size Munch, get Osukai, I guess. But then you just don't have Size Munch Rec, which is way too strong to mess up. So, Pocus getting base special attack plus 10 and base HP. I don't think the special attack is too beneficial, but the HP I think is very strong, especially because we're going to go over something later on in the patch that benefits it. Zazar.
The special attack is beneficial only because I really don't think you should be running special attack with Focus. You have the high enough damage moves already that you can run a tiny bit, but you definitely need survivability because it's not lasting long.
Yeah. And also Gamma's pretty like meme, like it's not very good. Yeah, Zazar base attack 70 to 90. This is actually huge. This is a huge upgrade. With the defense being increased and the special defense being increased, I actually think Zazar is very strong with the high fire tems that are being used currently. Pinwheel is just always a really strong move, especially with a -1 defense. It allows for any follow-up attack to kill, and even if they switch into a tem that can tank it for half damage, you're still getting the -1 defense, which makes it weaker against whatever other tem is in the other slot. So I think Zazar is really strong. I know Servo absolutely loves Zazar. It's kind of like Zazar is kind of like J Dragon's Noxiatl. J Dragon loves Nox. He'll always run it just because he loves the tem so much. I think Servo is kind of the same thing with Zazar. And I'm really happy about the buff. I think Earth Tems are very weak due to all of the weaknesses they have. The typing is just not very good, and getting added bonus stats is very good for them.
And say they're also very weak because half the Tems they're strong against aren't in the game yet.
Exactly. So, also Noxiatl getting brace. I mean it's a thing.
Yeah,
I guess
it's there.
Yeah. Golder, this is what I was saying about maybe Krema didn't know about the added increases in Golder's play. they buffed its HP, defense, and special defense. It was already doing extremely well when it came to tankiness, and now it's even better. So I think there's probably going to see even more play with Golder, if not the same amount of play. I don't really see it going down just because it got a buff, or with the new times coming out. I still think it's very strong. So very, very good there. Gario got buffed. Still not worth it yet. Nesla added.
What do you mean?
Nesla added Thunderstrike. I actually think this is very good, and I think Nesla might actually see play now. Base special attack, increased to 70 to 76. Okay, so the thing is, it says added Thunderstrike to Technique Course's Learn set. Okay, it's an egg move. It is not from the Learn set. So if you want a Nesla to be able to play with it, you're gonna have to breed it into Nesla.
So I mean, here's the thing. Supposedly, it has learned it. I haven't gotten a Nuzlocke, so I don't know. Actually, I have a Nuzlocke. Wait, let me check.
Okay,
I
because
have a
people
58
were
Nuzlocke.
saying it's an egg
Let
move,
me
and that they
check
don't have
that
it.
right now, actually, because I've seen or at least heard some people say it learns it. Otherwise on the wiki it does say egg. I
I'll,
just could be wrong. Do we have Twitch?
I'm looking right now, really quick.
Nesla just got it. So supposedly
Okay,
it
it
does
switched
learn
then.
it.
Okay, because I remember on the wiki when it first released, it said it was an egg move. But yeah, a lot of people in chat are saying it learns at a 56,
I
or
think this is
57.
probably the biggest change out of all the numbers. Obviously, Zazera's 20 attack is pretty huge,
Yeah,
but I think this is the big one because you have to realize the electric Tems, both special attacks, like their stats, their special attack is 81. Grumper and Gazuma are both 81. Nezla's 76, so it was behind, but now it's about equal. And
yeah,
if you look at Gazuma's and Nezla's stats, like you'd be like, oh, Nezla has horrible stats. It's the same stats as Gazuma.
yeah. So yeah, they're saying that it is learned at 57. Yeah, when it first came out, people were saying it was an egg move and it wasn't learning it. Maybe it was just like a wiki typo or something, but it is fixed. It is learned at 57, so you don't have to breed it, which means if you did have a Nesla prior, you can still use that same electric synthesis.
And not
Because
have to
they'll
pay 100k.
Yeah, they are pretty expensive, so it's nice that it's not egg move. That would have been pretty brutal for all breeders. So that's nice. Special attack increase, nice, and yeah, having Thunderstrike, yeah, it's the best electric move in the game. Everything else is complete garbage to it. I'm not gonna lie. When it comes to damage, Tesla Prison is good, but it's only good for support. You're not actually using it for the damage. You're using it for the speed down. So yeah, I think having Thunderstrike may allow Nesla to come into play. The problem with Nesla is its base HP is complete garbage. It's like under 50, if I remember. So it's gonna have like 180 HP, if that, at
It's
level
the same
58.
HP as Gazuma, max of a 236,
236.
compared to like Golder's 320.
Honestly, I'm surprised it's even that high. But yeah, I think there's a chance Nesla can see play now, which is pretty nice. We need more electric Tems, if not electric moves. So, Calibus, the traits used to be Botanophobia and Loneliness. They were both negative traits. They didn't benefit it at all. It actually made it worse. Now, both traits are changed, and now they're benefits, right? Toxic Skin, whenever it gets hit by a physical move, it poisons that Tem for 2 turns. And then Mucus, it gains 30%. 30% less damage from electric attacks, and it can't be burned or cold, right?
Yes.
Okay, so I think both traits are pretty good. If you want it more tanky, you go Mucus. If you are playing against physical attack heavy teams, you want Toxic Skin. So I think it's strong, personally. I think it's really good. It's hard to say exactly which one's better. I lean towards Toxic Skin just because adding poison damage for 25% is pretty nice if you can get it off. But a lot of times Calibus does get hit by special attacks, so it's
Say
kind of a
from what
flip.
I played against, and I think Carthh would agree with me. I think we're both leaning towards Mucus being the better one, just because the problem with Toxic Skin is that you're toxic inking anyways.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
it's so slow is that they're gonna hit you with a melee attack, poison themselves, and then Toxic Ink kind of doesn't do anything.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. Like they're both like good, but it's not like insane. Like oh, toxic skin. It's like it's just like an added benefit if you're gonna be strangling or something. You know what I mean? Like if you and also like I said, there are a lot of special attackers in the game, so there's a lot of times where you're gonna get hit and it's not even gonna go off. So I think they're just slight added benefits. I don't think either is typically better than the other. Uh, like I said, some people lean towards Mucus to add some added benefits, and some of them lean towards Toxic Skin. I think they're just minor buffs. Acronox base HP 61 to 71. Acronox hasn't been seeing too much play, so this does help. But with Oshidashi coming into 2 added Tems, this kind of makes it a little bit weaker in the current stage of the game, especially since Oshi is coming into most of the teams. A lot of people want to use Yowlar, and people are still using Skunch. So I think Acronox is still kind of in the same place of being roughly D tier. Volfi removed Drought from the Technique Course Learn set, mainly because Drought got switched, which we'll go over here in a second. Techniques. So we got Quetzal. We already talked about that. Insane fire move. Definitely test out some fire tems this week. Everybody's doing it, and yeah, try to figure out some fire teams and try to have the better optimal fire team, and I think you'll win some games for sure. Bush Rejuvenation goes from 2 to 1 turn. I think it's a pretty decent nerf, honestly. Getting the extra 10% off of regen is pretty like, I think it's pretty good. Like, a lot of times Tems live with like 1 to 6% HP, so not getting that extra 10% is pretty rough. Yeah, Drought goes from low to very high, and that's why some Tems are not learning Drought and losing it.
Only 3 Tems currently can learn Drought right now, and that is Roller, not Volfi, Grumper, and Drakash. So I think the only Tem that would possibly use Drought, you could run it on Grumper, which would actually be kind of interesting now that I think about it, with what's been recently been run. And Drought on Roller actually doesn't seem that bad either.
Yeah. Pretty good move. Can you tell everybody what it does though?
Drought is right now a very high, rarely used, but very high prio AoE move that hits everyone on the field, including your partner and your own Tem, that applies 2 turns of exhaust, but overexerts the Temtem that uses it.
Yeah, so if there are moments, because it's very high, if there's a situation where a Tem has like, somewhat low stamina, and you think it's probably going to attack this turn for a specific kill, whether it's like Giles using double gash or something, right? You can definitely use this, and it can overexert and deal damage to them while they try to kill a Tem. So it's I think it's very situational, but not like the greatest move. It's just very situational and can benefit you in order to get something to overexert so that you can have a benefit for the upcoming turn. Hibernate, HP and stamina recovery reduced from 50 to 40%. I personally think that's a pretty good nerf because Hibernate is pretty nuts if you're pairing it with a Fire Tem, which a lot of people are using right now. If somebody's going to use Hibernate, use Embers on them, it unfreezes them, and they are pretty much back to almost full HP, because normally you're going to be using this when you lose at least 50%. So yeah, very, I think a pretty good nerf here. I like it. Intimidation exhaust turns increased from 1 to 2, so now Intimidation isn't literally just a wasted move. It actually allows for you to exhaust a Tem for an actual effective turn. So that's pretty good. I think we've been everybody's been talking about this since we saw Intimidation. It's nice that they actually added 2. Magma Cannon hold turns reduced from 3 to 2, stamina cost from 37 to 29, and damage increased to 70 to 92. Magma Cannon has been a meme for forever, and the stamina was absolutely insane for her 70 damage, which wasn't worth it. The 3 hold for the stamina and the damage wasn't worth it. So now that it's like a 2 hold with 29 and 92 damage with 3 ticks of burn, I personally think it's still under, it's not very good, just because why click Magma Cannon when the Tems that are gonna able to learn Magma Cannon are going to be using Fire Tornado, so you might as well just have Fire Tornado over Magma Cannon. You want the damage dealt to it. I think Magma Cannon is like a mixture between a support and a damage ability, and I think it has to focus on one of the two. Fire Tornado is a pure damage move, which is why Fire Tornado is being used more than Magma Cannon, and I think that's going to stay there for a long time. Sorry. So yeah, Meteor Swarm. Damage increased from 75 to 80, and its synergy went from 75 to 90. So it adds 10 damage from the original damage of 80 when there is synergy. The synergy with the burn tick was kind of just there. It wasn't actually that great, but it was nice. Because if you have another fire tem in play, it's like they're most likely gonna ember most turns with the meteor swarm, so like you're gonna burn a tem anyways. But yeah, pretty nice buff. I mean, more fire tems getting buffed for damage, which is nice. Mineral hail holds turn from 3 to 2. I think that was absolutely needed. I think 3 turn was just dumb in my opinion. I think it was just nuts that it was 3 instead of 2. I think it's pretty average now. It's definitely better than what it was. Size Munch Wreck, damage reduced from 115 to 110, and so it dropped 5 damage from the synergy and the main damage. Still extremely strong. Serbo's Wrath, whole turn from 3 to 2, and the damage reduced from 108 to 100. Personally, I think it's an unusable move still. Just don't click it. It's like an absolutely worse Naga's Fury. Tornate Garden, healing from 8 to 10%, synergy from 16 to 20%. Yeah, I think pretty good buff. I think people that use Tornate are still going to use Tornate's Garden just because it's one of the stapled moves in it. It's pretty strong, so buffing it is pretty nice. It's just a slight buff to Tornate. I don't think the healing is what is making Tornate not very good. I think there's other problems with it that are going to need buffs or nerfs depending on what you look at. So hopefully Tornate gets some sort of buffs to make it equalize to Naga and Size Munch, because Tornate just isn't as good as them, period. Like, just if you look at all 3 of them, you look at Naga and you look at Size Munch and you're like, wow, these are insane Tems. Like, they're really strong. They have really good move sets. They have really good traits, right? And then you look at Tornate and it's like, it's just kind of like thrown away. Like, people like, okay, it gets Crystal Spike, its stats are it gets Tornate's Garden, which is 2 hold, while the other ones get a 1 hold epic move, right? Or what would you call it? Special
Signature?
move? Yeah, signature move, yeah. So they get signature moves that are nuts, right? 1 hold moves. And then all of a sudden Tornate gets like a 2 hold move that like is like kind of like whatever, because Doom isn't that great. So it kind of sucks that Tornate doesn't have, like, honestly, if they put this to 1 hold, I'd be like, cool. At least it's gonna see play now, right? It's still not gonna be like broken or OP, but it's at least gonna be somewhat strong to be able to use. Um, yeah, I think they have to look at Tornate and try to buff it in a way to have the same power as Size Munch and Naga, personally. Toxin Shower holds turn reduced from 2 to 1, damage increased from 40 to 60. Toxin Shower is just, before this buff was just straight like garbage. Like, it was so bad. This makes it just bad. Like,
Yep.
like I mean, it's not a very good move at all, especially for the times that run it. But yeah, with the 2 hold 40, it was so bad, but now it's like just bad. Let's go for traits. Dread Alarm, damage increase from 20 to 25. I mean, it's okay. I think Dreaded Alarm is. I think the problem with Dreaded Alarm is that it's hard to actually get somebody to take damage from Dreaded Alarm, because the only way for somebody to rest with Dreaded Alarm is if they're overexerted. Otherwise, they're just not gonna rest. So, or if you switch in thinking they're gonna rest. So it's like you're always flipping a coin if something's gonna happen or not, which you don't want to do. You want to try to keep the RNG to a minimum when you're doing competitive matches. So if there's a way to make it to where, like, if somebody goes to sleep and they stay in, Dreaded Alarm procs no matter what. Like, they need that kind of buff, right? They don't need like a damage buff. They need something to make it to where Dreaded Alarm works more often, instead of Dreaded Alarm only working when the player clicks rest. And I think that would allow players to maybe play Pocus with Dreaded Alarm a little bit more.
Say if the problem is not Dread Alarm itself, it's the tem it's on. If it was on a very tanky tem that can just outlast and just sweep at the end of the game, Dread Alarm is nuts for cleanup potential.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that too. Well, you said it's not Dread Alarm itself.
It's focus, yes.
I
Like Dread
I
Alarm,
I
that's
agree with
important for
you,
health.
but I still think Dread Alarm needs some sort of way to activate instead of just only when they're exhausted and last time alive. Because I feel like that's the only way it's really gonna take damage, right?
I mean, you know how
from Dread.
Pocus applies his os, right?
No, I know, I know, but yeah, I think if there was something to do, like make it stronger to activate Dread Alarm more, it would see more play. Energy reserve. Sorry. Energy reserves triggers only once per battle. HP trigger increases from 25% to 40% and added +2 attack. Energy reserves is for Piranha, which is funny because Piranha was actually seeing play from Prati a lot. Prati actually likes Piranha when it comes to the whole Cernif, stall meta that was going around. It has Revitalize and it gives water synergy for Water Cutting Lily. There's like a lot of buffs to it, right? To having Piranha in the team. Now that energy reserves is 40% instead of 25, that's actually a pretty good increase, especially since once this triggers and you get the +2 attack, I think it's very good. You get Revigorize for 2 turns, right? You get Vigorize
for 2 turns, yes.
yeah, 2 turns. So you get Vigorized. You also get the +2 attack. So now it actually like does something besides just Vigorizes you. Triggers once per battle. It's completely fine. And yeah, 40%. I think energy reserves might be better than patient. Maybe. Just because you're always using a hold move and you never run out of stamina if you keep running the hold move. So yeah, I think it's okay. Not bad. Guardian added prevents negative stage changes. I think this allows Schween to have some really cool effects now. The only thing that I kind of don't like is that fact that Guardian only works on your teammate. So if Schween can still get negative stat changes, but I mean that's just the way it's always been. I think that's a really good buff to Guardian. I like it a lot.
Let's say, says the man that wants to protect your buff his Kinu.
Yeah. Immunity added prevents poison status. Nice added little buff to it as well. For the immunity status, this is actually really nice. Because we're gonna talk about an item here soon. Protector added. The holder now loses 10% of max HP every time the trait is triggered. So Kinu has always been a problem. Always been a problem. Protector buff is just insane. Like
Always
yeah,
been a problem.
yeah. Protector buff is just nuts, right? And as players in the community, we didn't really know how to nerf it. Like, how do you nerf protector? We were literally thinking like, okay, make it to where the Tem like gains like a shield or something for like percentage of their health or something. Like we were thinking of like crazy ideas, but we didn't know that we didn't really know that they could add a mechanic that would have like every time it switches in it loses 10% HP. So yeah, I actually like this a lot. It's a good way to nerf protector but not nerf protector, you know what I mean? Like it makes it to where you every time you gain a buff, now it's like you can't just gain buffs forever. Now it's like if you don't have baton pass, which will probably the best item on Kinu now, you're not going to be able to pretty much switch in and protect or buff every other turn, right? So this definitely helps. Also, there's a lot of attacks in the game that bring you down to like really low HP, like really like let's say 6%. So now with like this happening, you're gonna need defensive stats on your Kinu, otherwise it's gonna drop down too low. And then if you double protector buff, let's say you start on turn 1 protector buff and then you switch it out, bring it back in, you already lost 20%. So a lot of things are gonna be able to kill you in that situation. So pretty nice. I actually like it a lot. Rejuvenate. So what we were saying about Pocus, Rejuvenate is now 15 to 20%, and I think this is very, very good. A lot of people are using Pocus for a tanky Doom Tem, pretty much, and I think the Rejuvenate helps it use what it needs.
You were right. You almost died throughout that sentence.
Yeah.
Is it your 4 turns up or?
Yeah. So Rejuvenate definitely helps that. Using what is it? Telekinetic shrapnel. So being able to heal 20%. Yeah, the added health is what actually helps this because now it's added 5% plus you have more max HP, so you actually heal even more percent, which is really, really nice.
If only you could heal off of special attacks.
I think that would make Rejuvenate mix kind of nutty too.
Nah, people would still run puppet.
Probably. So spreader damage increase from 50% to 66%. I think it's just better for outside like PvE stuff, being able to TV train and such. So pretty nice. Trance regenerating turns increase from 2 to 3. I don't think that's what it needs. I think there shouldn't be a cap. No, I'm just kidding. Uh, there shouldn't be a cap to trance activating. No, but yeah, I think it's an added buff. I still think Nox isn't that great still because you can't apply this trance every single turn. Um, yeah, Gears Chamomile now grants immune for 4 turns. So Chamomile is
It's busted.
yeah, I think it's probably the next best item in the game. Like it's like a toss up between like Sweatband and Chamomile. But I actually think Chamomile's better just because now you can't get poisoned. It's like an energy drink, and it's every time you swap in too. So if you are immune for 4 turns and it goes away, and you swap out and you swap back in, you're now immune again for 4 turns. So
See, also, this isn't 4 turns like 4 active turns. It's 4 effective turns. If you've ever
yeah,
been rended before, you know how long that lasts. That lasts forever.
yeah. So Chamomile is pretty nuts. I definitely see a nerf to this in the future, probably going down to 2 effective turns instead of 4. Because this is just insane. Especially it's every time you swap in and out. Like you can put it on Grumper, and then or even Gary and get autonomy, and you can have immunity and get the bamboozle effect. Like I don't know, man. I think it's insane.
I don't know. Does the gear apply first or the trait?
I mean, I hope the trade applies first, but yeah, Chamomile is pretty nuts right now. You're literally immune to all status for everything. You're immune to everything for
I
four
mean, here's the
turns.
thing. You know how people would run neutrality hand fan? Now you just run air spec chamomile.
Yeah, it's pretty good. Yeah, I think you can run air spec with Barn Chief if you want to instead of hand fan, and
just
it's like the
just be
same thing.
careful because it still does its old tricks where it does remove stat changes.
Oh, does it?
Yes.
Okay. Who would that be good on then?
I've been running it a lot on the two vines. It works very well on Grumper.
Wait, two Vine. Why would you run on two Vine?
It's mostly to prevent toxic ticks, but also it can't be put to sleep.
Yeah,
But the big one, chamomile, is being used on as Grumper.
yeah, I think very strong. Like it's pretty much used for like another energy drink and
I mean,
not
you
being
have
able
to
to be
realize
poisoned.
on Grumper, you used to run energy drink on it. Obviously, you can run drill, but this
Exactly.
gives you energy drink and you don't get exhausted from your own thunder strike.
Yeah. And then there's Baton Pass going from 8% to 10%. I think this is mainly for the reason of the Kinu losing
It's called
10% every
Kinu
time.
Pass.
Yeah, pretty much throw this on your Kinu. I think you're gonna need this. Um, People are using Snare and Grease and
Rock Shield.
sometimes Rock Shield. So like I think Baton Pass might be the
In the old days, Tukma.
new. If you're not gonna use Baton Pass though, you're probably gonna use Kinu for sacrifice more often now because it's gonna lose a lot of HP, and then it's probably gonna sacrifice after. So I think that's kind of like one of the two things. It's you put on Baton Pass or you put on something else that allows you to tank more damage maybe, or you snare when you get hit and then be able to sacrifice the next turn. Uh, yeah, I think that's probably how Kinu's gonna be used now. You're not gonna be able to just like Hypno every other turn, Protector buff whenever you need to, Revitalize forever. Like I don't know if Kinu can actually yeah, I don't know if Kinu can actually just have whatever item now. It's either gonna be a Sacrificial Lamb or it's gonna be a Baton Pass in order to keep its HP up. Yeah, those are the patch notes that are for the competitive. All the buffs and nerfs to everything. Biggest take out of all this is test out some fire Tems. Neutral Tems are pretty good, and I think play a little bit of Zazair because of all the fire Tems that are coming out. Um, Volerin might not see as much play anymore, and maybe test out Nesla just to see how it works. I don't think Nesla's gonna be that strong. It's definitely a really good buff, but I don't know if it's gonna be like, oh my god, Nesla, you know. And also, it's still weak to crystal, so that's pretty rough. All right, so next thing to talk about, we're gonna go over a tier list. Carth's tier list always presented to us every single week, and with this, we are going to look at his tier list for what he believes is strong this week, and let's take a look at it. So this is what he believes is going to be strong this week. This is not after testing everything. This is definitely going to change, and this is just what he believes before testing everything, right? So S tier still going at the Raze Naga Kinu. It Raze is probably even more of the S tier now because of everything running around. And then he has Wolfie, Momo, and Yowlar. So he's putting in Momo and Yowlar as the top Tems just because of how much damage they do. They do an absurd amount of damage, especially even with the traits, right? Comebacker and the synergy. Why do I always forget it? For Momo. 50% extra
Oh,
synergy
Stab
damage.
Master?
Yeah, Stab Master. So
It's not synergy damage. It's just your stab damage.
yeah, I keep saying, like, I keep forgetting it. So yeah, Stab Master and Comebacker are just two like pretty nutty um traits, and also with yeah, Yowlar running, there's like 180 move. If they're trapped, you just
Last
kill
torment.
them. Yeah, last torment, just you literally kill them. Like, if they're trapped, you kill them. And if you got hit that turn by that same time and you gain 50% more damage, they're
You
just
kill him
dead.
again.
Yeah, you're just dead. You're double dead, dude. So like, Yowler's pretty nuts, and he's super tanky, so he can easily eat that. And yeah, for B tier, Valoran, Giles, Yukama, Grumper, Capire, Raken, Skunch, Size Munch, Grandpa, Drakash, Cerny, Tuvine, Calibus, Mix, Barnshi. Out of these B tier Tems, what do you think should be an A?
Now realize this is culture shock from the update. None of this is set in stone. This is kind of a reflection of what it was before, with kind of as how people are feeling as the days go on.
Mhm.
Thusly, seeing how some of them perform better than others with the new changes. But if I think one's attempts going up,
Yeah, what do you think definitely has the highest potential of being A tier out of all of the B tier Tems? I'm pretty sure you already know what I'll say.
just looking at, we're gonna say Calibus, but this is actually kind of hard looking at. I know some of these, like I think Cerny's fine, Drakash is fine. Grandpa, I haven't seen a lot of. I'm wondering. This is actually really hard if I have to say any of these are A. I feel like all these are right, and I don't feel like none of them should be higher.
Just with what I've been testing and seeing a lot lately, a lot of people are picking Riken over Capire, or they're just picking Riken not even over Capire. They're not even thinking about Capire. They're just picking Riken.
Unless you're doing the Riken Skunch cheese, stop that. I already lost to that once, and I conceded right away.
Oh, where they just perfect jab you and they Quetzal.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um, I think Capire's nuts right now. Like, once you actually get the TVs correct to be able to kill them with a specific amount of attack, you can literally go HP with a specific amount of attack and the rest either in speed or special defense. And I think Capire's nuts. It just hits so hard with Kretza and its speed is high. I think it's better than Riken. Um, only because of heat up. It allows you to be able to carry kind of like Giles did before. And with last rush, if it's the last time live, it's just like gonna be able to sweep. So it's still like a toss up, but I think Capire, in my experience, is better than Riken at the moment. Riken, maybe people don't have the TVs right or haven't played it correctly yet in
I
order to
mean, have you
activate
been
Prideful Egg.
playing Naga recently?
Yeah,
I'm wondering if it needs to rely on Naga a bit more. Unlike Capire can kind of do on its own.
yeah. I think if you're, I wasn't running Deceit Aura just because I thought maybe right now with Capire I tried it without it. I think if you're running Naga Deceit Aura, maybe Riken is better due to Meteor Swarm. just with the one prio. You can kind of get a switch in with the Seed Aura and use Meteor Swarm, switch it back out, and be able to use Meteor Swarm or Meteorite the next turn, or not Meteorite, but Quetzal on the 3 prio. So it's kind of like a flip back and forth. I think Barnshee could be higher. I think Barnshee is really strong right now. I mean, obviously the problem is the health, but I think Barnshee is really strong right now. I don't think Cerny is very good in the current situation, especially with the 3 pro move on fire. I think move flank should be moved up from C to B. Uh, once unnoticed is
After
fixed.
they fix it, yeah.
Yeah. I think move flank is very disgusting.
Honestly, I would say Platymus is B just because of how many times I've had it first banned.
Yeah, I think Platymus. Well, just because hmm, just because of
Just
a lot of
teams
the
right
fire
now just aren't
temps,
ready for it, yeah.
a lot of fire temps are coming into play, and yeah, Platymus does pretty well.
And it
Um,
has footwork.
yeah, right. Yeah, I think Platymus is pretty good. Move flank's pretty good. I think okay, so when it comes to fire temps, in order to kill them, it's like you either go for the fire versus fire matchup, which I think Capar is better in because that's heat up, right? Um, and just make sure you're not against the Drakash. You'll probably die, obviously. But and then you use a lot of neutral damage to kill the fire temps as well. That's kind of like what I use the move flank for. You can also use using Barnshee because of the mental that you need. When it comes to 2 mentals, I don't think Naga and Kinu are the only mentals you should use. I think you can use a third one with what's going on, especially since the third mental also does really well against fire as well.
I've been loving the Doro lately.
Yeah, Doral's really
But if you
strong.
put Strange Vest on that thing, I hate you. Don't do it.
Oh my god.
It doesn't work.
But yeah, let's take a look at the bottom tier list and see what you think
Oh,
could
what
come up
the
rise.
heck? I just noticed Acronox is an E. Holy crap.
Yeah. It's mainly just because fighting, like Yowlar's in play, and it can't with neutrals in play and with Scunch up top and everything, there's just a lot of fighting and a lot of wind. Well, not a
Let's
lot of wind,
say
but
with Yowlar in play, if anything, it'd go up because of Cobweb.
I mean, not really. It has Oshi.
No, playing with it.
Oh
You,
yeah,
you,
yeah,
you Sting and then you Last Torment.
yeah. That is true, but it is under niche, so it could be used for little like things like that.
But Zera's below average. All right.
Yeah, I personally think Zera can definitely move up. Remember, this is just something that Carthh put together of what he believes will be strong and what he believes will be weak during the patch, right? So this is not stapled. He's probably has a lot of changes after playing the last, couple days. So yeah.
So
I
all I'm saying is, when in doubt, Burrow.
yeah. So I think Zera can definitely move up. Golder I think is borderline BC, just like what he's saying. I don't think Mix is very strong personally anymore. Um,
I think Mix, if there's a bunch of mentals running around, Mix is like perfect. Because that's what
yeah,
it
there's
wants.
also fire though. Quetzal probably one shots it, honestly.
Nah, I think it lives.
Pretty close. I guess it just depends on cause remember, in order to like you're not gonna live a crystal bite, right? Actually, yeah, unless you have rock shield. So like, Quetzal is like a slightly under damaged fire tech
Let me just
or
run
crystal
a
bite.
calc real quick.
Yeah, definitely test that because I think you're gonna need HP and some defense, so it's pretty good.
I don't
But yeah,
remember what my
I
defense
think
are.
definitely test out some Momo, test out some Yowlar. Grumper's still looking pretty good, especially with its Mud Shower and being able to deal with the Fire Temps. So it's definitely showing very good value. Yukama is up there because of the Fire Temps, showing a lot of
It lives
usage.
Capire.
Oh, that's Capire, nice. Um, yeah, but
Plus
also
2, no.
so I guess something to think about is I don't know if Yukama is actually that strong, just because people are still
And
running Volfi.
it lives Riken without Fire Chip.
Yeah, I'm not too sure about Yukama, just because of there are quite a bit of Thames being able to counteract it, like Volfi and but having water against fires and Size Munch, I think Size Munch is also a counteract towards Fire Thames, so I think Monkey is very good as well. Yeah, I mean things are gonna change in the next week or two, so definitely check back in for the next week in order to see how the tier list changes. Um, if you had to choose one Tem out of all these Tems, which one do you think will increase?
Increase, huh?
Yes.
Hmm. With the recent changes, I've mostly seen there's been some triple mental. I think it's mostly double mental is the safest. Just it kind of shuts down an option, and if they do ban both of them, well then they wasted both their bans. So I don't think it's that big a deal having triple mental. Obviously, people can still run it. If I think a Tem is going to be higher, I think it's Nezla, to be honest.
Nezla? Oh. See, mine is a gamble because mine is literally based off of if Unnoticed gets procced or not, like if it's fixed. Um, yeah, I think Booflink is better than Scunch personally in the current situation. Um, because it can still eat a couple of mental attacks, and if it does get Unnoticed proc, it still can deal quite a bit of damage. Um, but if I had to choose a Tem like that maybe more consistent, it would be trying to think. I think maybe Platimus or Zazar. If, I'm trying to think of one that would actually move up a category. Like I think Zazar will move up to C at least, and I think Platimus will move to bottom B tier. But if I had to pick one, it would be one of those two. Mooflank is very strong, but like I said, it has to proc unnoticed when it's supposed to proc unnoticed. Otherwise, you literally can lose the game. It's happened to me multiple times.
I think it's funny. We just see the day that Golder is better than Pig.
Yeah, I'm saying Golder is probably gonna sit here for at least a week or two. It's still being tested out if it's actually like very strong. Yeah.
I think it needs just a more interesting move pool. Like Bamboozle, Toxic Ink, that's his main thing. And then Metabolize can actually save a Tem that could catch people off guard.
Yeah, I think that's good,
But
and it heals.
yeah,
I think Golder's
and,
strong, definitely.
and then it can win the Toxic Mirror.
I'm testing out some Valash mainly because it's neutral and it can make Fire Thames synergy. So, yeah, I would have to pick Platimus, Zizzer, if it was going to move up one at least. Yeah, I think we're gonna be testing out a lot of Yowlar and Momo for the next week. Pretty good Cypark week as well if you want to try to get Illuma. And yeah, hopefully we get some breeders out there, get some Yowlers, get some Momos, and check out some competitive play. I think Volarin's going to see a little bit less play just because we need extra mentals. So I think Barnchy might be taking that spot from Volarin for a little while. But I think Volarin always comes back regardless. It's just too strong of a time.
Until we get the Electric Tems, then it might be a bit different.
Yeah. I think that's gonna do it for all the things that we're gonna be talking about. We can go over the events this week. It's gonna be weekly PlusOP weekly on Fridays at 7 p.m. Make sure to check that in. It's going to be a very very different uh, tournament because of all of this new stuff. So if you want to see some new team comps being considered, some new strategies, head over to PlusOP's channel on Friday at 7 p.m. Eastern time. It starts at 7:45, so gonna see a lot of new play there. Club Wars, there is no Club Wars this week. It is a week off for all the Club Wars, and yeah, if you want to see all the past Club Wars that were able to be casted, make sure to head over to the YouTube channel and check out those matches for Club Wars. for season 2. And yeah, daily Temporium tournaments. If you want to check out some, if you want to play your teams, check over at the daily Temporium tournaments. Test out those teams that you guys are talking about, and trying to prepare and yeah, see how they work out. Yeah. Anything we want to close up on? Anything that you think we missed?
I don't know the rest of the meme. I can't do it.
Yeah. But yeah, I hope everybody's having a good week. We had some housing, a housing update, which is definitely a pretty cool thing to consider for the the upcoming. Hopefully, I mean the next island comes out in about roughly 7 to 8 weeks. And get some new Tems, get some electric Tems, get Volarant out of this damn meta because that shit's crazy. And yeah, it's been a good week. I'm super excited to test some stuff out. I hope everybody's having a good week, and we'll see you guys next time. I love all you guys.